Welcome to this fundamental bootcamp on Microsoft certifications. And yes, I'm Feroz. I'm super happy to get you people onboarded here, spending your time on the weekends to the community on learning some new. It's all about fundamentals, right? So I'm super excited to meet you people where you want to hop in, you want to do networking with one another, and to learn the new skills that we have here. Well, I'm a Microsoft MVP and I'm a Microsoft certified trainer as well on Azure. I run the company called CodeSizzler, which is a Microsoft partner on cloud migrations, on application development, and we do train the partners of Microsoft like Accenture, uh, Adobe, Boeing, Deloitte, all these folks. So that's in short about CodeSizzler. And we run a couple of major communities. One is Dear Azure, and the other is Azure Ninjas, which are like sister communities that we have. And we used to host a lot of community events, and this is like one big rockstar event which we have planned for. It's going to be like a series of track. I'll let you know the different sort of tracks that we have planned for. And yes, you can join us on all the community events as like what Kazim told you. And you can get the questions to be cleared. We have some assessments. We have some goodies to be distributed. We are planning up to come. I mean, from the next week, we are planning to come up with more goodies to be added up. Like you can get the certification exam lab portal vouchers as well, where you can get a chance. Like we will allocate it for 2 to 3 people who are like smart answered, where they can have a view of experience like Pearson to take up the examination, and they will also able to get a certificate which will be validated by CodeSizzler. So that will be from next week. So you will be, I mean, you can follow up Kazim to get more updates on it. Well, so that's about me and the organization, community, all these things. So before letting on to the track, I would like to appreciate Kazim for all this initiative where he has taken up right from the root, planning all the rockstar certification events to be lined up along with speakers who are said to be Microsoft MVPs, Microsoft employees, Microsoft certified trainers as well, right? So the very first track that we are discussing here today is said to be on Azure fundamentals. So Azure Fundamentals is said to be hosted by me, right? And but it's going to speak about like who can take up this certification and what actually you need to plan for this certification as such. Okay, we are going to speak about like the basic services that you need to know to clear this certification and what all the weightage that you need to keep it on focus. The second track is that we are planning to come up with Azure AD fundamentals. So it speaks again about the Active Directory. We are going to discuss about the Active Directory components. We'll be having Shoaib from Microsoft Qatar, and he's going to speak about the Active Directory certification track. He will also speak about like how you can do migrations from the on-premise to cloud. So those topics will be covered. You can follow up again with Kazim on Twitter, or you can follow on LinkedIn to get more updates on it. And the third week, Saturday, is going to be with data fundamentals, maybe DP100 or 900. So it's going to be a fundamental track. I'm not into data certification track, so just want to give a heads up for you people. And then the PL900 Power Platform fundamentals, followed by the containers, which is said to be a hot topic of today. You have container fundamentals, which will be discussed, and then the AI fundamentals. So thank you very much, Kazim, for bringing up all these things at the right moment to reach the community. I'm seeing like, especially now at the time of COVID, I'm seeing like a lot many clients who are not getting the projects to be onboarded as people are not getting certified on the certifications that they are looking for. And this initiative is really an appreciated one where you're planning to come up with the entire boundaries of Microsoft certifications to be covered. That's off to you. And well, let's hop in. Here is about the Microsoft Azure fundamentals. So this is set to be the very basic course that you have in Microsoft Azure certification track. Let's say if you want to be an Azure expert or an architect or DevOps engineer from Microsoft certifications, then the very first thing that you need to plan is set to be your Microsoft Azure fundamentals, and the exam code is AZ-900. I repeat, it's AZ-900, which is set to be Microsoft Azure fundamentals. And this speaks about why cloud, the basics of Azure, like you have data centers, you have data center regions, resource groups, the classic portal that we had, and now the ARM. We will also be speaking about like how you can spin up the services using ARM, using PowerShell, using Portal, okay, and the very basic few services like what are the PaaS services, what are the infrastructure services, and the SaaS services that you have in Azure. So you also get questions based out of the subscription, the pricing. Okay. So though I mean it's like a very simple exam where just some 2 or 3 days of preparation should be good enough to get the certification to be clear. So this is said to be about the course that you have. This course provides you a heads up about all the basic level of cloud concepts, right? You should have heard the cloud concepts into three things: public cloud, private cloud, and the hybrid cloud. So this course will speak about what a public cloud is, what a private cloud, and what a hybrid cloud is all about. One good example for public cloud is said to be your Azure, and you can even say AWS, right? These guys are public cloud markets who run the world, okay, having most of the partners to be hosted their data with Azure data centers and AWS data centers, all these things. Private cloud is that you get the data center, you host it, right? You get the support of Azure or you get the support of AWS environment. You host it on the remote location of your office premise. So let's say if your office is based out of Sydney, you're going to place your data center, right? The data racks that you have at Sydney, and that will be managed with an express route or with an optical fiber by Microsoft. So the images, the support that you're going to get, right? All these things will be provided by Microsoft, provided the device, the data rack is going to be available at your premise location. People prefer private cloud, mostly like Visa cards, Mastercards, right? PayPal. Okay, these are some customers who are using Azure, and I mean, among the Fortune 500 customers that we have, these people prefer for private stack. The reason is that they wanna make sense that the physical attacks on the servers will be preserved. Though Microsoft gives you a good compliance, though Microsoft gives you a good security on the physical attack as well, still we have customers who prefer to have the data racks at their own location. And then comes your hybrid cloud. You might have seen that you have servers at your office location, right? You have servers which are there available and the public cloud. So normally what happens is that the front end servers like e-commerce applications, think about again PayPal, okay? Let's say Walmart is one customer where they might be having the front end applications which are available. Okay, you go to the Walmart store, you select the products, you add it to the cart, and once when you do the payment right, you should have seen that it moves towards the payment gateway. I mean, your page gets navigated towards the payment gateway, and that's exactly where you go across. Speaking about the hybrid cloud, so the payment gateway has been hosted at the on-premise environment. And to establish the communication, to establish a client and server communications of the transactions to be done, you need to get connected with the on-prem. So here, the combination of both public and the private cloud is said to be hybrid. And yes, Azure supports you with that. You should have heard about services like VPN, virtual private network, right? When you do networking, you will be having VPN, virtual private network. And speaking in a very simpler way, your CIDR addresses, right? Your IPv4 or V6 addresses that you have has to communicate with the servers which are available at the on-premise environment. So this sort of communication that you have will be performed by the VPN, virtual private network. And there you can put up the security role action saying that what's going to be the incoming rule, what's going to be the outgoing rule that you have, whether the ports can be allowed or whether the ports has to be denied. No. So these things can be validated and you can whitelist the port addresses. So cloud concept is said to be common for all the three things. And here in this course, we have it discussed in detail. And apart from that, the very important thing is that the cloud concept also gives you a touch base on IaaS, PaaS, and SaaS. So IaaS is your infrastructure as a service. I mean, stands for infrastructure as service. But then IaaS is something that from A to Z, you are gonna take care about it. So let's say that you need to say like what VNet has to be provisioned. Is it going to be V4 or V6, right? IPv4 or V6? You need to say the address range where it has to be spinned up, the data center region as well. Okay, the subnet allocations within the virtual network. You also need to say about the network security actions, OS image. Okay, so consider when you spin up a VM, you have an entire family, right? You need to say about the OS image, you need to say about the virtual network, network security group actions, okay, and the diagnostic storage accounts. The storage accounts normally, like you get the C drive, like standard solid state drive, or it's going to be a normal hard disk drive. So those details has to be given, and licensing cost. Okay, the data center region where you're going to host the entire components. So these things makes it simple. These things comes at one stand where we call it as infrastructure as a service. So you have to give up the details. Once when you give the details, it's going to be the responsibility of Azure, or it's going to be the responsibility of CSP. I would say cloud service provider, who has to take care of the data security and who also needs to ensure that the machine will be always running. So in infrastructure service, you are going to provision the entire thing. You will say, I need an availability set or I need an availability zone. Okay, you have to give up all those details. That's one thing. The next comes your PaaS, platform as a service, where you're going to focus only on the development, and other than that, managing the OS image, managing the data to be available. Okay, you not even need to provision it. You just need to say the plans. That's it. Okay, in VM, you will say the size of the machine. Provided when you speak about the PaaS service like web app, no, you have to say the plans alone, like app service plans. So then it's all in the hands of Microsoft, where the CSP is going to take care about the application to be available. So what happens here is that you are going to focus on the development, and the next comes your SaaS, software as a service, like Office 365. Okay, you go, you log into portal.office.com. The calendar is ready available. You have this thing, Outlook, right? Think about Gmail, all these things as well. You cannot do any sort of customizations provided you just log in and you can send an email. That's it. You can send a calendar invite just like the calendar invite you have received now. Teams is an example for SaaS, okay, your software service. So all these components will help you out to host the environment, okay, to host your data. That's it. You cannot do any sort of customizations. That's software as a service that you have. And this course also speaks about the core Azure services like your VM, your web app, okay, your logic apps, you have storage services, okay, and how it's secured, how the CSP takes care of the security and the trust that Microsoft promises us. Apart from that, we will also be speaking about pricing. You have three sort of pricings normally that comes across. One is free trial. Maybe if you don't have an Azure account, no, you can activate the free trial and you can make sense about the Azure services. And well, on top of it, you have the pay as you go. That's the enterprise one. You're going to link your credit card, and you will be paying like every month the consumption that you have. You're going to pay for it. So that's pay as you go that we have. Well, apart from that, you also have the enterprise grade partner agreements where you can say like it's a called as reserved instance. You can say that you will be hosting your VM with the data for 1 year or 2 years of time probably, and you will get a cost cut off there. Okay, even let's say if you're planning for any sort of migrations, no, there also you get a cost cut off. So these are like the different sort of plans that we have and the support that Microsoft provides you. Okay, like for your data, for your server machines that you're running. So those are all like different factors that we have. The next comes the audience for this course. The audience for this course is said to be ultimately the beginners, the very basic beginners. who have a knowledge on how to work with a computer. That's it, and who have a knowledge about like how the on-premise server machines have been spinned up. Like you should have heard about VMware, VMware, Wintel machines. So if you have ever got a chance, at least a chance to install VMware on your laptops and host some old OSs like Windows Server 2008 or something, that should be good enough, which is said to be a prerequisite. And there are two versions of the course that are available. One is said to be the course 1 day version, where it will be a 9 hours of course, and a 2 day version of course where you get the lab environments as well. You can do the lab. The tutors can guide you up. So normally we have two sort of tracks. We are actually even planning up to come up with the certification program itself to be implemented very soon. Should be by the month of this month, October. Okay, before end we are planning to come up with certifications to be hosted as well. So that's like one other thing where you can join us with help of CodeSizzler. The next comes the content for both the course, which are aligned to the exam code AZ-900, and you have no prerequisites. Okay, students, yeah, they say with an IT background, but if you're people from India, we have like even, I mean, computer science, IT, you have communication engineers who are hopping in towards IT environment. So it's not like it's a dedicated track for a certain sort of people as such. It's like open. Anybody can join us. So here goes the course agenda. You totally have 4 courses. Okay, you have 4 modules. The very first module is said to be exploring the Azure cloud concepts. I repeat, your IaaS, PaaS, and SaaS. You have the cloud models, no? Your public, private, and hybrid, which we were discussing about, and the data center regions. Okay, so that will be there, and you're going to distinguish the Azure core services, like what all the different services that we have in Azure. The third one will be examining the security, how Azure is going to be secure, how privacy is maintained by Azure, how far your data is going to be preserved on, in case if you're deleting it accidentally, those things will be here. And finally, about the pricing, you have a pricing calculator where you can make sense about what would be the costing for the services that you host. Any questions for me until this? I hope we are connected. Questions on Teams, chat, or something? Yeah. Okay. Kazim, hello.
Yes, Feroz, please continue.
Kazim, is there any questions that we have? I don't see any sort of questions on the chat.
No, not yet.
Not yet. Okay, cool,
Yeah.
cool. Sounds good. Thank you very much. Well, the next goes here about the certification areas. The certification area is where like you get the weightage. You get the weightage of the exam questions that we have. You need to make sure that the very less weightage that we have is about your cloud models, your IaaS, PaaS, and the SaaS. So you need to understand about the cloud concepts. You get a very less weightage of questions over there, and you need to understand about the core Azure services, like what a VM is, what a web app is, right? What a storage account is, when to use a storage account, and some decision making, like why not a storage which can be like blob alone, and why not a storage which can be with a V2 or V1 kind of storage components. Okay. And the next comes your security, which I told you that holds 25 to 30% of questions that you have. And finally, we have this 25 to 30% of weightage, which comes for the pricing. So you get questions based out of this ratio. And the very important thing is that it's all like multi-choice questions that you have, right? You're just going to select the right answer among the multiple choice questions. You don't have any sort of negative marks, but then you will be having a timer which keeps on going, and you get the maximum of questions are said to be like 70, not even 70, or it's lesser than that for fundamental certifications. And here goes the learning objectives that you have for each and every module. See, I'm speaking about each and every module that we have here. The very first thing is understanding cloud concepts, that is exploring Azure cloud concept. This track, right, the very first track will speak about why cloud. It speaks about the definition of the cloud that we have. The best examples like the pricing. Okay, think about the pricing. No, you when you host some data at the on-premise environment, you're going to come up with the next server. Okay, let's say Microsoft has stopped the support for Windows Server 2008 to 2012, all those things. And now they have Windows Server 2019, which is set to be the latest one. And the API integrations that we have, the NuGet packages that we have, no, the compatibilities, all these things will be available for the latest version. And there'll be an end of support, which has been provided by Microsoft for the older versions that we have. Now, if you are a customer who is set to be from on-prem, then no other go. You have to put up the new version of it, right? You have to buy the license for it. You need to keep it installed. You also need to ensure that the data of the older one should be available for the customers as such. You cannot just walk to the customer saying that, hey, come on, my server is down and I'm planning for a migration upgrade, so you will not be able to reach the application for another, let's say, 1 day or 2 days of time. That's not a practical scenario that we come across, right? So the only option that we have is that recommended to stick towards cloud. You get a cost cut off. You're not going to buy the software, instead you're going to rent it when you speak about cloud. Let's say if Microsoft is going to come up with 2020, Windows Server 2020 by tomorrow, or some any release that you have, you don't need to worry about it. You just go, you can upgrade the server. That's it. And this sort of a upgrade that you have, no, just the schema validation will be taken care by you. But then the migration, all these things, Microsoft will play that. So this is said to be pretty much simple, and no role of troubleshooting engineer from the on-prem from your side. It's again, the support is the responsibility of Microsoft. Okay, so that's another cost cutoff. No device managements. Okay, you're not going to buy any hardware devices, provide an electricity for it, provide a power backup for it. Uh, so you're going to do a cost cutoff on all these things. Okay, and the next important thing is that why especially Azure? No, I get like lot many people asking me why not AWS here. AWS has been there for a long period compared to Azure, but then Azure already came up into the market all of a sudden. It was like 2010 that we had, right? And we started with something called Microsoft Cloud. Then we hopped in towards Windows Azure. Then we hopped in towards your Microsoft Azure. But then what's the actual reason that I need to stick towards Azure? Come on, it's pretty much simple. The data center regions that you have. The number of data center regions that you have in Azure is said to be like very huge, right? As of now, we have around like 80 plus data centers as per the release of the Ignite that we have, including the testing. You should have seen that recently we took one of a data center from Scotland, right? You had it on the sea, which was deployed on the sea, and we were doing testing. And now we have come up with a release for the same. We have validated the test. It works on generating the power to be cool, the heat, electricity that it provides. No, it's said to be really reliable compared towards the data centers that we use to host it on the surface. So that's said to be like you get more amount of data centers, and it's ideally you prefer for the nearest data center region for your customer, right? So that's exactly one of the reason. Second reason is that you get like the open source integrations. You can make decisions like whether you want to go with Microsoft services or you want to stick towards open source environments. Let's say WordPress on Azure. No, you have Linux servers which you can run on Azure, uh, Oracle that you can run on Azure, MongoDB that you can run on Azure. Any open source flavors. What in case if I need to integrate Twilio, right? What if I need to host my own APIs? Still, we have services where you can come up, you can host API managements, right? You can take care of the things. So these are all like the kind of benefits that we have in the cloud environment. Okay, and yes, costing wise, let me be very transparent to you people. I would not say that the costing is set to be lesser on Azure. It's just same like how the Google plays the market or how the this guy, no, AWS plays the market. These people come up with a different business strategy where Microsoft tells you very transparently that you get a free trial for 30 days of time, provided AWS will tell you, hey, come on, I'm going to give it for 1 year of time. But then it's not actually for 1 year, you know. Once when you activate it, you go there, you can find, they tell you like, you can run EC2 instance only for, let's say, 72 hours or something. And there'll be restriction on the size as well. They say that you can spin up only minimal machines. They keep it as micro instance like that. So you can spin up only those instances. Whereas Azure is not like that. They give you 30 days of free trial. You go, you spin up the virtual machines that you have, and the pricing is based like you. They give you, if you're from India, no, or if you're from US, you get $100 of free trial. So you can utilize up to $100. If it gets exhausted within like a 2 or 3 days of time, then your subscription will be deactivated automatically. So that's how Azure plays the market. And top of it, yes, the cloud models which we were discussing, you can choose the best that can opt for you, and then the cloud services and the responsibilities that you need to take care and what Microsoft will take care as such. So these are all is a kind of different sort of things that you have. Mhm. Let me know if you have any questions until this, please. All right. I hope you people are good. So the next sort of learning objective is to ensure about the components that you have, like data center regions. No, see, the architectural components of Azure is that you have the regions and you have the geographies. So region is nothing but the data center region where you can host your servers. You have one sort of you have like data centers that you can host it. Okay, you have data VM to be hosted up. You have web apps to be hosted up, databases. So now in this case, you need to think about the nearest data center region which will be available for the customer. You cannot say that your customer is based out of Sydney and I will host the data to be on Seattle, right? That's not the case that we used to work. So you have to put up the data at Sydney. You have to put CDNs, the content delivery network that you have, along with the edge locations. And that's exactly where we go with different geographies in the regions. Availability is something that you need to ensure that the data will be always available to the customers. Okay, you want to say that you spin up the availability set and the resource like your VM and all those things. So to make it even more simple, I can show you, see, first let me show you these services. White cloud, all these things. You can go up to the Azure cloud environment. I can show you here. See, this is how your Azure portal looks like. You have your Azure portal available, and this you can log in using portal.azure.com. Okay, and there you have this home page, and when you click here, you can find all the different sort of services that we have at the left. And as I told you, if you don't have an Azure account, you can just open a new tab. You can say azure.microsoft.com. Go for the pricing, right? You can find the pricing steps here. To activate the free trial, you click on the free account. Okay, you can click here. See, you get it like a free trial. They say get started with 12 months only for free services. But then if you wanna get the free trial, no, you get like money added on the credit wallet that will be available for 30 days of time alone. You can just click on start free and you can find it. So they will ask you for your credit card. Don't worry, they are not going to bill you. You just need to make sure that you will be coming up with verification, okay, and they will charge you like 2 rupees INR, okay, and that will be returned like 24 hours of time. Okay, it would take 24 hours of time to return the INR of 2 rupees. Well, apart from that, you have the regions. So region is that any service that you create here, no? See, create a resource. Let's say I need to spin up this Windows server. I can click here. You can find region. So you have all the different sort of data center regions. So here I need to make sure like which is the data center region that I need to pick for my customer. Ideally, in an implementation point, you should be there on a nearest data center location for your customer. Okay. And the next goes here with region, I mean availability and resource. Now, the core Azure services which will be discussed on this particular AZ-900 is that we have VM, we have networking, and storing the data. So take an example of a VM. No, VM is nothing but your compute power, your virtual machine. You're going to spin up a Windows Server machine, or you're going to spin up a Linux machine, and you will host your application inside it. So when I speak about this VM, I will get onto the demo. I will show you how you can do this. So you have to go here for the virtual machines. Okay. So you click on create a resource. You can find VMs. When you go to the compute, you can find virtual machines. If not, you can even click on get started. You can find the images here. I repeat, you can go to the home. You can click on virtual machines. You have multiple ways. You say add, and you can keep a VM to be added up. So let's say add a virtual machine, and I will create a new resource group. So bootcamp, dear Azure resource group, and let me say dear Azure VM. Okay, the name of the virtual machine, and region is the data center region that we have. Now let me say the nearest data center region for us, South India. And can you find this? We have availability set. Availability zone is available for very few data centers alone, regions alone, like Southeast Asia, okay, West US. So the most powerful regions that we have, no, there alone you can find availability zones. Availability zone is nothing but your planned and unplanned maintenance nodes will be managed by the different zones that we have. Zone A, zone 1, zone 2, zone 3, like that. So that's said to be availability zones. And availability set is that you're going to ensure that you will be having the fault and the update domains to be maintained at the same data center region. Let me say availability set, and we can create a new availability set here. Let's say create new. See, we have it here. Now I can name it. Let me say CodeSizzler availability set. And this is the count that you're going to maintain for the nodes. Fault domain is for unplanned maintenance. Okay. And unplanned maintenance, you know that, no, like socket failure that happens, no, in those cases it's fault domain. And update domain is that Microsoft is planning to come up with a roll up, right, like every second week of Saturdays, every second week of the month that you have by Saturday, they will roll out the patches that they have, security patches. And certain time what Microsoft does is that if it's like a critical patch that you need to come up with, then they will not let you to wait until Saturday, but then they will keep it to be hosted instantly. So this kind of things is where we go with update domain. Okay, even you can do it. You will be having your application updates, no? Speaking simply in a .NET way, you have your NuGet packages to be updated. In that case, you will go for update domains to be configured. Let's click on OK. And here I can look for the public and the private images. Private images is that you should have taken a VHD image backup and you're planning to push it off. Okay, so that's private image. Let's go with Windows Server, or I can say I need an image with Visual Studio 2019 latest, right? So we can go up here. I can click this, okay, community on Windows Server 2019. And there I can say spot instance, like spinning up immediately. That's called a spot instance. And we can select the size. So you go here, you can say what sort of size you need. Size not available, showing. Let's look for DS1. Yeah. Oh, DS1 underscore V2. That's not supported for this particular data center region. Okay, let's pick a different one. South India is not that powerful. Let's go for Southeast Asia. And here I will say I will go with the B2MS. So when you say select size, now you can find all the different sort of sizes that are available. Like it ranges from DS1 underscore V2, it goes B2 is B2MS. If you're hosting any powerful graphic oriented machines, then you can find it here. G series is said to be a much costly one. Let's go for B2MS. Username. And yep, that's it. We are good to go. So inbound ports, okay, the incoming connections. Let's say port 80 also to be opened up. Okay, because I'm going to host IaaS inside it just to let you people know. And license type, you can say either it's going to be Windows Server or Windows Client. Let's go with the Windows Server one. And if you're planning for any migrations, no, from on-prem to cloud, then you can say that you already own a license and you can migrate it. Next, oh yeah, here you get a cost cutoff. You should have seen that. You get a 49% of cost cutoff when you migrate it from the on-prem to the cloud. Let's go to the disk. I'll say I need a standard hard disk. Okay. So you have different sort of things like solid state drive is there, which will be providing you more IOPS, input and output operations that you can perform. Hard disk is also, I mean, it provides you a decent IOPS, but not that powerful compared towards your, the solid state drive. And chances of disk failure is said to be really less on cloud. Okay, I have never seen any sort of disk failures that happens. So no such thing might happen. Well, but then for cost cut of all, you can plan for the best one. Let's go with a standard hard disk. And in advanced, you can say whether you need a managed disk or unmanaged one. The replications that you maintain, for different sort of availabilities, those things you need to take care of it. Disk failure, in case if it happens, you have to manage the IOPS when you go for unmanaged disk. So selecting no means that you're going to prefer for unmanaged disk. Whereas yes is that it's going to be a managed disk where Microsoft will be taking care of the actions. Now let me go for the previous. There's a bug here where you again need to come up. You have to create an availability set. Okay, let's say, okay, CodeSizzler AB set. So now this is for a unmanaged one. And I can go to the networking. See, here is the VNet. Either you can create a VNet here, or if there are any available, see these are the other VNets which are available. I can just select and I can stick towards it. That's the other way that we can work. Okay. See, if you want to create a VNet, no, you log in for portal.azure. It's getting loaded. Yeah. So here you can just say create a resource and you can say virtual network. Yep. So here you can select the VNet, you can create it. So this VNet can be called on the VM that you create. And there inside you can create subnets. So you can put up a separate subnet like for front-end applications and for data like the backend that you have, you can have another separate subnets. IP address for connectivity, you have two sort of IP addresses, public IP and the private IP that we have. Yeah, so private IP is that you can get up to 5 reserved private IP addresses, and if it goes beyond 5, no, you have to get the quotas to be allocated by Microsoft. And for private IP address that costs more, you have to pay for it separately. Provided public IP comes along with the costing that you would have seen on the size of the machine. So here again, it's going to be a static or dynamic that you can define on the public IP address. Static again costs you more, okay, but then by default you get a dynamic one. Network interface card, which helps you to communicate with the machines, and we have the inbound ports which I have allowed. Networking to do a faster on image acceleration, and load balancing where you can distribute the loads, okay, within the different server machines that you have. The service where load balancer gets created and you can connect it. Okay, so that's load balancer. So you can find it, no, this is called infrastructure service. You're going to host, you're going to give up all the details. Boot diagnostics is that you're going to give the server details. Okay, you're going to say like what would be the storage account that you need when like a blue screen error that gets happen, no, or a bootstrap error that happens. In those cases, the logs will be maintained here. It can fetch back, it can look for the logs, and it can get healed up automatically. The server machine can get healed up automatically. So that's called as boot diagnostics. And yes, this one. Okay, your Active Directory for security credentials, auto shutdown. You can perform auto shutdown by every day evening. Okay, guest OS updates can be maintained for OS patchworks to be done. And if you want to add any extension like Chef or Puppet management tools to be added up, any antivirus tools to be added up, you get Defender by default. But then If you're preferring for any internet security tools to be added up, then you can do it on extensions. Tag is for metadata reference. You can put up the metadata reference here, like you say, I'm doing it for community event. I can name it here so that when we come later, no, we can go to the VM. You can see why you created this particular machine as such. And here, finally, we are going to create a VM. Let me click on create and we will get the machine to be up now. Let's wait for the machine to be up. Eventually, you can let me know if you have any questions. Okay. Since it's a hard disk, no, it takes quite long time to get created. If it's a SSD, then it can get spinned up immediately. And here you can find all the other components that you have, like storage, network. Okay, so this is what I said. It's IaaS. You will be having like the entire services to be configured by you, and then taking care of the things to be managed. That will be done by Microsoft. Okay, finally the VM is getting up. There we go. So you can click on go to resource and here we can connect for the VM. Since it's a Mac, no, I need to copy the IP address and then I can connect for it. But then you can find all sort of details which we gave, the VM, networking components, okay. And you can find your networking which we created, the addresses which we have allowed, okay, see allow, and disk that we performed, the size that we have created. You can do scaling at any time. There will be no outage. Okay, you can do scaling even when the applications are running. And availability, you can find here. We created an availability set. We haven't connected any machines, so as of now, there's no machines, zero there. And yeah, we are good then. So these are all the basic things that you need to know. Now let's try connecting for the machine. Okay, I will go up here and let me say it's dear Azure VM. So here is my server machine. Let's click on yes. And here you can find the server security. So you go for server manager. The very first thing that you need to do is you have to turn off the IE enhanced security configuration. So go for users and admins, just make sure that it's turned off. So this is how the server machine all looks like. You can see this, no? We said we need with Visual Studio. And the other way that I can work on Azure is that I can work from PowerShell. So I can just go, I will say PowerShell underscore ISC. I'm sorry. Yeah. This is the another kind of way that we can work on. So see, I will say like log into the Azure account. So old command, but then it's okay. Now we have AZ commands. You can see login hyphen AZ account. Okay. So this will help you to log into your Azure account. You will get a pop-up where you have to give up the details and then you can log in. So let's give it up here. So here I have logged in with my Azure account. Sending another notification. Yes, approve. Since I have multiple domains now, I'm getting a lot of uh, verifications. Okay, clue. So, well, I will go up here. Now I can say commands like get Azure RM subscription. You can find here. Or I can even say get Azure RM resource group. This command should also work. Oh, I'm sorry, there's a typo. Yeah. See, this lists out all the resource groups that we have along with the data center location. So if you have no idea about locations, you can say get AZ locations. Okay, that can work. Or you can even say like get I mean to create a new resource group. No, you say new Azure RM resource group name. Okay, let me give it as dear Azure resource group. Location will be at Southeast Asia. That will get created. So if you want to remove it, you can say remove Azure RM resource group. So it's dear Azure resource group. I no need to say even this. I can just give up the name and let's click on yes to get it removed. There we go. Right. And yes, so now you can just give up like get Azure RM resource group. So you would not be able to see any sort of resource groups named as dear Azure here. Right. Now, I told you that we will be installing IAS, so we can go for the server manager. See, we have server manager. I'm sorry. You can go up for this. You can click on tools, okay, or you can go to the manage. You can say add roles and features. Here you can install IAS. You scroll down, you can find web server IAS. So this is one way that you can do. You have to serve for it. You have to give on each and every click that we have. Or the other way that you can do is install okay, or you can even say add Windows feature name, okay, web server to be installed. That's it. See, it's getting installed. It's getting added up. Eventually, you go here, you can find it on the C drive. Let's go to this PC and then your C drive. So what happened? Yeah. So can you find this inetpub? Go to the root, you can find this file. Okay, an HTML file. Let's open this with a notepad. And here I can say, this is a demo IIS server for bootcamp. Okay. Sorry. Yep. So let's save this. Now I can go to my portal. Let's copy this IP address. I'll try pinging it. See, you get the IIS. You can even try. You people can try it. I can put it on the chat. You people can try. Where you should be able to see the server machine running with IIS. So that's the core, right? That's about the virtual machine and networking. Storing data is that there's a service called storage, Azure Storage, okay, which helps you to store like any sort of unstructured data or queue messages to be sent. You know, those things can be stored. You have files which can support you for SMB file shares. Okay, you can share the files between the on-premise machine and the cloud machine that we have. Or the other way is that you go to the tables, easy tables. No, you do CRUD operations alone, create, read, update, and delete. That can be performed as well using storing data. And well, apart from that, we have the IoT solutions, which gets discussed on the second module about IoT, about AI services like cognitive service, okay, face API, Lewis APIs, text APIs that we have, speech APIs, okay. So like a wrapper, it's like a combination of different services that we have that will be covered. And data analytics, like you have data warehouse, we have data factory. So those things will be covered on data analytics part. Next comes your DevOps, where you're going to combine both the developers and the operations team to be managed. Okay, You'll be having the DevOps services. It's up. Go for dev.azure.com. Get to know about repos. Get to know about you have what's that boards. Okay, you have boards, repos, pipelines where you can do release management. You can do testing. Okay, you have test use cases which you can write. Do the Selenium test. Okay, integrating the components, and then you have the artifacts where you can add extensions. So those things will be covered at DevOps. Serverless, like Azure Functions. Okay, in AWS we call it as Lambda, and here it's Azure Functions, which will be discussed, and Logic Apps as well. So those things and Event Hub, Event Grid, just a heads up. Okay, those things will be covered here. App services is about web app, creating a web application, open source web app or Windows web app. Those things will be on the app service. Here's about the third module. Speaking about networking, creating a VNet, the firewall that you can add on the Windows, okay, Windows firewall with a VNet, preserving your environment from the DDoS attacks, okay, creating your network security group actions. Like you create the network security group, you say what are the incoming and the outgoing connections has to be managed. That will be on the networking security group that we do. Identity is about AD, having your Azure Active Directory to be spinned up, doing authentications using email addresses and authorizations. Multi-factor authentications where you can allow multiple servers to be added up, do the verifications with OTP based or call based verifications. You should have seen when I log into the PowerShell now, I was getting notification, no, to approve it. So that's called multi-factor authentication. Security tools is where you have the Azure Security Center. You go with Security Center to keep your patches to be managed. Okay, take actions in case of any Trojan attack happens, or if someone tries to ingest some data towards your SQL database. So that will be on the Security Center. And IP, right? Information protection. Information protection is like you give again whitelisting the server IP addresses, perform alerts. Okay. When some server machine tries to ingest some data towards your SQL database, what action has to be performed. So those sort of automated actions can be managed and preserved using information protection and advanced threat protection. So you'll be having services like Azure Monitor. You have application insights, okay, log analytics, a workspace to be created, getting the metrics on a visualized way, connecting it with Power BI, taking up actions based on the metrics that you have. All these things will be covered on the security tools. And finally comes Azure Governance. Azure Governance is where you're going to put up the policies, the Azure policies about the subscription and the blueprints on how the services can be spinned up. This is something where an architecture has to work. Okay. And we will also come up with a trust center, which I already discussed. Okay. Like how Microsoft preserves your environment as such. The next comes the last module, speaking about the subscriptions, how you can manage the subscription, cost management and billing that you can do. Okay, planning and managing the cost with pricing calculators. Go for azure.microsoft.com. You can find a pricing calculator. So that will help you out to make sense about the costings that we have. And then the support options where you can go, you can raise questions or in case if you have any bugs or if you need some support, no, you can reach Microsoft looking for their support. SLA agreements, like what is the SLA that Microsoft promises for disaster recovery, for availability sets, okay, for availability zones that you have. So those things can be calculated with even for database, we have the RPO and RTO times to be managed. So those things will be there on the service level agreements. And when you take up the official certification of Microsoft, no, you get a sandbox. Okay, even we at CodeSizzler have a sandbox with virtual labs where you can go, you can try each and every challenge at the labs that we have. So the sandbox is that you get a virtual lab itself. They give you a challenge, and you have a step-by-step execution as well. They will guide you up where you need to go. You have to find how to solve a particular challenge as such. Let's say you need to create a VM and you have to put up IaaS inside that. How you can do that? No, how you can perform load balancer, how you can perform traffic manager. Those things would be covered. Azure Pass is that you're going to provide access to Microsoft Azure environment. Just saying like free trial, there's something called as Azure Pass. It's a complimentary pass which Microsoft gives for learners, and that can help you to take up the demos to be performed as well. So that's about Azure Pass. And to activate that, you need to go for Microsoft AzurePass.com, claim the pass from Microsoft. Okay. You also get a skill pipe code. Okay. You get a skill pipe code where you can get an ebook with all the modules on theoretical topics that we have. So that should also help you out. So to find the lab materials, learning materials for AZ-900, you can take a link of this github.com/CodeSizzler. You can go there, you can find the learning materials which are available. That should help you out to get the tracks to be defined, right? The learning materials are also ready available. I can show you. See, it's like this, github.com/CodeSizzler. And go to the repositories, click on repos. You can find, scroll down, you can find AZ-900 here. Excuse me. Yeah, this repo contains AZ-900. See, here you can make sense. You have all the documents with the demo. Okay, it speaks about how you can manage the different modules. So make sense with this. Okay, I can even make it even more simple. Let me put it on the chat. So this should help you out. And yeah, Azure Fundamentals tool is that the learning material again officially from Microsoft. You can go for just see first thing I would let you know how you can register for the exam. So you search for AZ-900, you will get it like this, and scroll down. You can find schedule exam. You can even take up the exam from your home. Okay, right now since it's like COVID, no, we prefer to take up the examination from your home itself. You just need to make sure that you don't have anybody at your room where you take the exam. You should not have any sort of mobile. I mean, you can have mobile phones, but then when you start taking up the certification track, you need to keep the devices away. You should not switch the browser. There will be a camera where someone from the Pearson Center will be keep on managing you. Okay, so those things will be there. There is also an option where Microsoft has come up like for job seekers impacted by COVID-19, you can schedule the exam just for USD $15. So that should also help you out. Well, other than that, you can find the weightage. If you need a detailed course outline, what all the things that it gets covered, you go here. You can find it on the skills measured. We have all these different sort of tracks, Azure services, okay, components and everything. Security, okay, so these things will be there. All these materials are there available on the GitHub. Okay, if you want to plan it like do it yourself, then you can prefer for those learning materials. Keep us pinged, keep me or cousin to be pinged, looking for any sort of support that you need. And like maybe by the next week for sure, you will be getting the skin. You will be getting the vouchers, not for everyone, but for certain people alone who are like enthusiastic on attending the questions. You will be getting the virtual labs, I mean the exam portal access that we have, so that you can reach again cousin who can help you out on that. And just scroll down, you can find this one like online free. See, you have the materials over here as well. For each and every module, no, you have the materials here. It's all beginner. Can you find this? Beginners to take up. So you can even go with this, like they give you review questions all. Get started with fundamentals, how to create an Azure account, case study, knowledge checkers that they ask you questions where you can make sense like whether you're good to approach it. I would definitely say that please don't stick towards Udemy, right? Let me be very transparent to you. Whomever may be the instructor, please don't go with Udemy for any courses that we have in Azure. Azure is said to be a platform where each and every day there is said to be an update that comes across. So unless and until you take a live training, no, unless and until there is someone who keeps on explaining about the portal, explaining about the services, keep them bugged with your questions that you have, do the screen share, get your questions to be answered by reaching your screen. Okay, until these things gets clarified, it's pretty much very hard to get the certification to be cleared. So that's the reason I would say that recorded sessions which are available at Udemy is never gonna help you out. Okay, and these things maybe the MS Learn, these things can help you out. But then for support, no, you have to reach the community or you have to reach some MCTs who can let you know in case if you have any questions. Okay, you can even reach our community like Dear Azure or Azure Ninjas with a Twitter handler. You can just write it on Twitter and we can interact just over there. It will be like a forum. Well, yeah, so that's about the Azure fundamentals. Do let me know if you have any questions, please. Like we actually planned it like around like 1 hour or 1.5 hours for the demos and the heads up to be given. And in case if you want to make any sort of services, I'm pretty much open to you people. You can let me know. We can make it even more interactive, please. Okay. Well, I'm sorry, I did not cover these things. No. Getting up your pricing. This is something important for beginners. So you go here, you can find azure.microsoft.com. And here in pricing, you can find it. You have pricing calculator. Now, let's say, for example, if you want to spin up a VM, no, you just scroll down. You can go to the pricing calculator. So you click pricing calculator. And here, let's say I need a VM, so I can say virtual machine, so it gets added up. I will click on view, and you can pick the data center regions. So let's say I need Southeast Asia now. So go for Southeast Asia. Yes, here it is, Southeast Asia. You can say OS, Windows, or Linux. Linux will cost you less, okay, because you don't have licensing cost, no? So Linux will cost you less. Let's go with Windows then. OS only, or you want to combine with SQL Server license to be added up, that you can do here. And BizTalk, okay, you will go with the BizTalk services where you can have the integrations to be done. So that's there with BizTalk. Let's say OS alone and tier. You have standard tier, basic tier available, and low priority machines like A0 machines, not even like 1 GB of RAM. Okay. You should have seen in your older days, you would have seen these machines. So that's a low priority machine which can help you to put up your blogs. Okay, those things can be done. Let's go with, okay, I would say basic, and you can find the sizes here. Okay. And when I say standard, no, you can find B2MS all. So let's go standard. You can find all sort of machines. Now let's say B2MS, one core of VM which is going to run for 730 hours, okay, which makes 1 month of time. And you can find we have reserved instance and you have pay as you go as well. So when you get it as reserved instance for 1 year, you get a 42% of cost cutoff. And for 3 years, you get it like 62% of cost cutoff. This is the pricing plan. And let me say we have all these things. Cool. Let's go up on exporting it so that you can find. So you get an estimate from Microsoft like this. Let me open it up. Hope you can make sense here. See, they say like they are going to give up you with a, okay, we just need a VM alone. But then I added other things also, so it has lined up. But then see, for VM alone, it's Southeast Asia. We selected B2MS, and that costs you 5,500. I mean 5503 INR. You can probably, to avoid all these things, no, you can go to the pricing calculator. Let me say delete all the other services that we have. Like I can delete SQL database. I no need this. So I will go here. I have a delete option. Give me a moment. Yes, can you find this? Let's delete it. So SQL is deleted. Data Factory deleted. Anything else? Again, another SQL. It's deleted. No need of a machine West US. That's it. Now I have only one service. Now I can say export and you can find it. close it. Yes. Can you find this? Now it's available for one VM alone. We haven't asked for any support, just a free level of support. That's it. In case if you're looking for some critical support from the side of Microsoft, then you can keep it to be added up here. And just same like no, you can put up the web app, all those things. So they asked you about web app. Let's make sense how you can do a web app from PowerShell. So you can go here, you can say new hyphen. I'll first create a resource group. Okay, so I will say new hyphen Azure RM resource group. I can give up a name. Let's say dear Azure resource group. Location will be Southeast Asia. So I created it. Now let's say a web app to be created. So web app, name of the web app can be given here. You just give an iPhone, you get a intelligence. Okay, so let's say resource group name where it has to be done. Dear Azure resource group. And name is gonna be CodeSizzler web. Location will be Southeast Asia again. Yeah, that's moreover good. That's good. So now an app service plan will be created and this web app will be hosted there. There we go, right? You have the web app which has been hosted now. So the web is set to be codesystemweb.azurewebsites.net. This I can access by just going to the browser. Hold on. See, I have a browser here. I can open a new portal. I can say CodeSizzler web. Okay, dot Azure websites.net. There we go. So this is the template that you get. And if you want to see this on the portal, no, you go here, click on the resource groups. So we have resource group. Can you find this? We have Dear Azure resource group. And there you can find the app service plan. You can find the web app. See app service plan and the web app. Let me click here and you can find the URL here. Hope you can see this URL. This can be managed even from the SCM. Okay, you have a console management where you can manage the entire web app. You can see like what's actually happening on the web application as such. So I would definitely go up here for any other browser. See, I can show you in case if I don't have the access for portal. No, I can say codesyslerweb.azure.scm. Okay, let's add this .azurewebsites.net. And there, let me log in with the account where I have hosted this. See, this is called Kudu console. Okay, it's SCM. And here you can find like all sort of configurations that you need to manage for the settings. So what actually happens here is that you can find, see in debug console, you would be having your root, you will be having your data, all those things can be seen. It's getting loaded. Yeah, you have site, root, and you can find this hosting stat. This is the template. Now let's say if I need to host some pages, a new page, I can say new file here itself. It is integrated with Visual Studio Online. So it works at the backend. See, I will say edit, I will be getting a compiler here. I can say HTML. This is VS Online. And let's say welcome to Dear Azure session on Microsoft certifications. Right. And let's click on save. Now I can open a new tab. Let me say CodeSizzler web.azure websites.net. There we go. And to perform a staging role, like you should have seen in real-time environment, you have staging and you have a production environment. In those cases, you can go to the portal, see we have deployment slots. You can create a deployment slot. You can swap the actions. Okay, so that can be done here. See, that's available only for standard and premium plans. So now I'm going to do scaling. I'll say upgrade, go for a standard plan now. So we are in, I guess we were on the basic. So let's go for S1 standard. They'll apply. There we go. Updating. Okay, and once when this is done now, you can find staging here to be available. See, we got deployment slots now. You can find just one environment at the production, and the other one you can create it using your staging one. So let's say add slot, and here let's give up a name. I'll give up a name here saying it is set to be CodeSizzler, or I can say slot one. Okay. So here we can say like we need to call it from the source environment. Okay, web, CodeSizzler web, and let's go up with this to be added up. It's getting added up. Yeah. So now what I will do is I'll open a new tab of GitHub. Okay. And let me go for the repo that we have. I have this AZ-900 now. Can you find this AZ-900? So just same like this, I'll create another repo. I will create a new repository as Dear Azure, or let's say Microsoft Bootcamp. Sorry, Dear Azure Bootcamp. And here it will be a public one. Let me add it and initialize with a README file. Let's click on create repository. See, if you want to integrate with DevOps as well, you can do it. You have the pipelines which are available for Azure DevOps. Well, over here, I'll create a new file. Okay, I'll say add file, create a new file named as index.html, the same name. And let's give up here. I'll say HTML/HTML again. Let's consider this is a staging environment. Okay, so welcome to Dear Azure Certifications Bootcamp. It's version 2. And let me click on commit new file. See, we have this index.html. And now let's try connecting the staging environment. So you can go here, click on close, open this slot that you created. See, you should be able to see a separate, let me close all the other tabs now. It's getting loaded. You should be able to see the URL, all those things. Okay, so here it's still getting loaded. You should be able to see here. Let's see. Can you find this? We have URL. And see, you have -slot1.azurewebsites.net. Let's click here. You can find the template. So that's the template that you have. And let's connect for your deployment center. That's GitHub. Can you find this? We have GitHub. So you can even connect from repos, that is from DevOps, okay, or third parties like Bitbucket. If it's like your hosted agents that you have, then it's Git, okay. Remember, GitHub is different and Git is different. Please don't get confused. So let's select this. Oh, it's not this account. It was CodeSizzler account. No? So let me say change account. Yeah, now let's say continue with GitHub. And we are going to do it using Kudu service. Okay, so let's select Kudu app services. and select the repo where we have the code. So my code is available at DA, right? DA bootcamp at the master one. Okay, that's me. Let's connect it now. So here the source environment has been set up. Now let's try refreshing this. Oh, not exactly. Okay, but then you got the template. Okay, you got the template to be linked up with GitHub. Now let's say swap. Okay, see, makes sense. There's a template at slot one. And when I go for web, no, let's say CodeSizzler web dot Azure websites dot net. Okay, here there's a different content. Now to swap the content, I can just click on swap. Okay, now to move the data from the production to the staging or from staging to the production, you have the swap option. And the configuration lets you know what should be the default document that you have. Let's go to the config, and in general settings or default documents, now you can find all these files. Now let's go to the overview. I'll say swap. So click on swap, move from slot one to the web. Let's look for it. Still performing. Oh no, performing swaps. Okay. See, this will be a minimal downtime. Okay, and you need to plan to come up with a Redis cache or something which can help you out. Okay, that's done. And now let's try refreshing it. Can you find this? Slot one is with this content. Okay, and the production one, no, it's with version 2 that you have. So this is how it goes. See, the production is with version 2, I repeat, and the staging one is with the normal version that we gave. Well, so that's about your swapping that you need to do. Makes sense. You have three major services where you get a lot of questions. One is storage, the other one is virtual machine, and the third one is said to be your web app. And you get questions based out of subscriptions as well. Apart from that, on the AD level, okay, AD is here. And find Azure Active Directory. You get questions based out of how you can add users, okay, how you can create groups, all those things will be here. Right, so you have it here. And see, you also need to go up, you have subscriptions. Can you find this? We have subscriptions. Select the subscription that you have. You get questions based out of cost management, billing, okay, those things. So that's the other one that you need to look after. Well, that's all about like what we have for this AZ-900. Not a much tougher one. It's a very basic exam. Well, I want this to be implemented as well. A very important thing. Once when you try the demo, no, please make sure that you will be deleting the results group. You can delete either from PowerShell. Let me show you both of the things. See, I can go here. I can say remove hyphen Azure RM results group. Let's give up a name. It was Dear Azure Resource Group, right? I'll say yes. You need to wait for a certain time and you will get the status as true here. Excuse me. Since it's a live event, no, we don't find like the chats to be available here. I mean, we are not able to communicate with the chat or with unmuting yourself and to speak. So that's something like we have to look after the settings on the updates that we have. Either like we have teams which are available, but we have the privacy policy which we maintain on the community. We don't invite all people to be added on the community. So in case if you're looking for the forum, I can show you here. We have a forum running up and we have it much interactive as well. So see, we have I cannot open it up, but then you can find in Dear Azure, we have general, we have DevOps learners, Azure learners like that all. We have some hidden channels as well. So these things, okay, I mean, we can add you over here where you can keep your questions to be posted up. We use this as a forum. Okay. So let us know if you want to be added there. You can reach Kazum or you can reach me as well, so that we can keep you added there. Okay. And other than that, you can comment on the YouTube or you can write directly on the Twitter. You just tweet us, okay, on the Twitter. We are available with both the handlers of Azure Ninjas and Dear Azure. You can also follow up with CodeSizzler. Do let us know if you have any questions. We have a separate support team who helps you to get your questions to be answered. Okay. So that's the other kind of way that we can help you out. Well, so here you can find the true status, which indicates that we are done with deleting it. And apart from that, if you want to delete from the portal, no, you go to the portal, locate the resource group. See, now I can try refreshing this. I'll click on resource groups and let's try refreshing it. No, you would not be able to see Dear Azure. See, it's gone. And to delete the other one where I have the VM, I can just go up here. I can say delete. Okay, so clicking here on the delete resource group will delete the machine that I have as well. So that's like another kind of way that we used to work. Let me say Fero POC hyphen resource group, and I can say delete. All right, so there we go. Thank you so much for joining then. Please keep your questions to be posted on the chat panels, okay? And stars that we have here. Thanks, Kazum. Thank you, Lunas.